Hi, everyone. Welcome to Energy Medicine with Monica. I am Monika Marczuk, professional holistic practitioner. Welcome to my channel. If you first found me and the algorithms brought me into your stream, welcome. We get together every week on Friday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to shift what is ready to be shifted and to heal what is ready to be healed within the global scale. So, this is where I use all of the tools on my tool belt and tap into the whole and do a healing for the world. So, in today's work, we're going to move mucus. There's already a burp, some congestion around the lungs, around that heart plate, and moving congestion out of the large intestines, specifically down through the colon and the rectum. Now it just feels really slow. So in the northern hemisphere, it's normal that things are slowing down. We're coming into cold. It's the mid of October and we've had our solstice and we've moved into fall and it's getting really cold and we're going to be moving into winter. So even though the season is still abundant, we're in the season of abundance, gathering, harvest. In the southern hemisphere, you're in spring, so it's the same. There's an expansion happening, so complete polar opposites. You have expansion and you have contraction. Now, this is needed even within your body. But what needs to keep, and there's needs to be a movement. Now, as I say that, there's a description at my door, and I will be right back. Okay, so we want to utilize this disruption. So there's nothing by chance. So when I first started speaking, there was the mucus. We brought in the polar opposites of expansion and contraction, and there was a disruption at my door. So it's pointing me to what within the body, not the body, sorry, what within our thinking, what within our belief systems needs a disruption. So, this is where the feminine comes in. She could be a little bit chaotic. So, intuition. So, where do we need that disruption within our thinking to take us off a path that could be potentially dangerous in your thinking, in your belief systems, when they become rigid. So, I'm going to give you a little example of what happened to me when I ignored my intuition yesterday. So, I was asked as a favor to take care of my neighbor's dog. And she's a lovely dog, but she's a big girl. And I was walking up to the house and my intuition, I had a feeling in my gut that something didn't feel quite right. And I didn't know what it was. So, this is the way intuition works. Sometimes she's really clear, but it comes up as maybe it could be a word. She's very clear, but I felt it in my gut. Something was off. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but something didn't feel quite right. And I felt my intuition. I heard her. And she went, "Stop. Like, this is not a good idea." That's too many words already. But it was a felt sense. I'm like, ugh, something's really not sitting well. But in comes my thinking. No, no, it's going to be fine. There's no reason for me to think that anything is potentially wrong or not right. So my mind, my thoughts usurped my intuition. I said, no, 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 it's going to be okay. Like, I looked around. I'm like, there doesn't seem to be any kind of threat. There's nothing happening. As I got closer to the door and put the key inside the door, my intuition, she was screaming at me. She went, stop, Monica, stop. My mind came in and said, no, no, what are you talking about? You said you were going to take care of the dog. The dog's in a crate. You need to let the dog out. So all of these thoughts came in that bumped my intuition out of the way. So in comes, we're dealing here with a little bit of, we're dealing here with the concept of free will. So you can make the choice and listen to your intuition, or you can ignore her. The choice is yours. So I ignored her. I was like, no, 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 no. It's fine, it's fine. So I walked in, I looked around, everything was fine. I opened up the crate, I let the dog out. Well, here we go. And then it was time to get her back in her crate. And she was a little too excited. And she actually got a little aggressive. And she's a big girl. So she started to bite up my heels. She started to bite up my legs. She started to jump up on me. It got from um, a happy play to she got a little riled up. She got a little aggressive. And I don't really know her. So it got a little dangerous. And I'm thankful that she was tied up on a leash and she was outside and I was able to get away. Then I used my intuition to go, okay, let's regroup. How do I get this dog back into her crate? So thank God she's very food oriented and I got her some treats. I got her back into the crate. But the point of the story is my intuition was already forewarning me of what was to potentially happen 45 minutes down the road. Now, where you can bring up, I, maybe some memories for yourself where these belief systems that you have that are very rigid are usurping or overriding your intuitive sense, right? So some belief systems that are creating this congestion over the chest, over the lungs, over that chest plate area, even within the gut. People are like, oh, I gotta be nice. I have to be. It's not nice to leave the dog in the crate. I've got to be nice and flexible and I've got to accept. I've got to be accepting and I got to allow this dog to have some space. It is what it is. And, you know, in the end, it's God's will. What will be, will be. Oh, so you can see where this rigid thinking comes in when you go against what your intuition is saying, what those intuitive, where that beginning of the session, that disruption is coming in. I had a clear path forward. I'm going to go and take care of this dog, but my intuition was coming in and to disrupt me because it was dangerous. So, but my thinking came in and said, no, 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 you're going to be fine. Everything's going to be okay. But my intuition was forewarning me. So what we're doing here is bringing in a body chemistry to help break down the mucus. It's just really heavy on the lungs. And, I am in the north, and in the spring, they've got mold spores starting. In the north, we've got mold spores, but also, it's a time for runny noses and some congestion. So we're going to bring in a body chemistry to break down that mucus. And within that mucus is a heaviness. So that heaviness of thinking, that heaviness of rigidity, that heaviness of forcing yourself into an identification, forcing yourself into the belief that you are something. I am nice, I am mean. If I'm not acting this way, this means this about me. If I'm not doing this, it means that about me. We need to break all of this mucus up. I'm going to bring in a hydration and a lymphatic drainage to dump this dirty thinking out of the lungs so you can be with actually what is. And we need oxygenation through the whole body. We need this body to be fully oxygenated, moving stagnation. So whether it be stagnation of emotion, stagnation of thinking, stagnation of forcing yourself, and there's apathy coming in through here. It's just like, well, this is the way that it's always been. This is the way that it's always been. This is the way that it's been. This is the way generations have been doing this. And then there's, on the other hand, thinking that things need to change. Maybe they do, but forcing change. To force change is to manipulate. To manipulate is to abuse yourself and others, whatever that is. So I'm going to bring this up to the prefrontal cortex so you can start to filter through yourself whatever is ready to be shifted. If you're having a very strong reaction to this and going, no, Monica, absolutely not, that's an invitation for you to take a look at your rigidity, even if that rigidity is, I am flexible as an identification, or I am accepting, whatever it is. Even if it's a niceness, it could be very rigid, and where that niceness turns into tyranny, and it could even be tyranny against yourself. Oh, so we're dumping that out of the lungs. We're in the heart complex, but within the auric field of the heart, that electric magneticity of the heart, we got to clear that up. There's some static and some interference. So we've got some eighth chakra interference coming here through global consciousness, whatever that is for wherever you are. You know, even if you're on the other side of the globe, we are still one. We're all connected. You know, all of the trees on the northern hemisphere of this globe all talk to each other through the mycelium. The trees in Canada, up north, wherever, they talk to each other all the way down into the Americas, into Central America, down into Southern America. They're all connected. They're all having these communications, and the same goes for the European continent and the African continent, and so on and so forth. Now, who's to say it'd be very silly and quite ignorant to say that we're not connected. We are all one. We are all just people living on the same rock, hurtling through space. And when we become so hyper focused that you're not taking a bird's eye view, your aim becomes very low. Aim high. Set your sight clear. When the focus is only here within, then you're missing something, missing everything. Oh, all right. The heart feels nice and clear. We're clearing up that eighth chakra influence over that electromagnetic field. We're going to improve the resonance of the heart. We need to come back to love. We need to come back to the resonance of love. Now, I'm not talking about love as in romantic love or sibling, or even for your parents or for your neighbors. I'm talking about the consciousness of love. There it is. Now we're going into the gut. Mentioned the colon and the descending intestines. Feels a little hard in there. So whether you're having constipation and it's hard to move, there's a buildup of mucus. So I'm going to bring in that body chemistry down through the descending colon, and we're going to bring a hydration to the fecal matter for those who are constipated and having a hard time letting go. So this is also in relation to letting go of the past, which doesn't exist. Past does not exist. There's nothing to let go of. What are you letting go of something does not exist? It's just memories. It's all stored in your memory or in your, I don't know, hard drive of your, not even in your brain. It's just somewhere in a mind map. You've got this like accessing memory, and then you go into the memory. But um, memories are skewed depending on what you ate, how much you slept, your perspective. You know, used to think that my mother was always angry at me. That was my perspective of her face, and her face just had a mind of its own. My mom, and like my face has a mind of its own. Maybe, she was in pain and she was grimacing, or she was in her thoughts and she was thinking of something, or she was working out a complex problem. But I took it really personally when I was little, and I would say, "Why are you so mad at me?" She wasn't mad at me, and she would tell me, "I'm not mad at you." And be like, "No, no, you must be mad at me." So, where do you do this in your life? And then you look to the past. So, we're in the colon. So, that constipation is holding on to memories, holding on to grudges, holding on to relationships that no longer exist, whatever you're holding on to. Holding on to, that person in grade 2 stole your favorite pencil, whatever. Ah, there's relief there. Now, on the other side of it's still a constipation, but it's on the opposite um, spectrum, which is diarrhea. This is the bottom falling out. You don't want to deal with anything. You don't want to look at your emotions. You don't want to feel. You don't want to look at that problem. You don't want to deal with anything. And so the bottom falls out. Just quick, sweep it under the rug. So you can see for yourself where, and it swings back and forth, right? Sometimes there's a holding. Sometimes there's this, I just don't want to deal with anything. So we're bringing a hydration through here and a body chemistry to take care of the mucus. If there's mucus built up within the digestive system, it could be let go. And that's the natural emotion of grief. That's the natural consciousness of grief is in the lungs and in that large intestines. And we're dealing with letting go. So the natural consciousness of grief is to let go. That's what it does. But when it goes pathological, when you get thinking involved, then you start running into some problems. So we're utilizing natural grief to help us let go of whatever is ready to be released. And it's just so wonderful that the feminine came in as the moon is in a waning cycle. So to retract, to let go, to reduce. So let's bring in the feminine moon, Madame Moon, to help us to release and reduce what is ready to be reduced. So for me, reduction of this bombardment of thinking, not healthy thinking. I'm talking about that Rumi poem comes to mind. Who am I in amongst this thought traffic? And I think that's a really nice place to land. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm going to tap the session in. Please drink plenty of water, get rest if you need it. If you feel sluggish, please listen to your body. You may experience a more robust bowel movement over the next 3 days. That's going to be the session at work. I would love to hear your feedback. Let me know how this goes for you. If you found my channel, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps to spread the word and get healing out to everyone, whoever needs it. And if you'd like to join this live, please email me, and I'd be so happy to send you the Zoom link. Love to you all. Have a great weekend.